This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
Studies show that 97% of communities and school students are promoted to the next grade, and today we're going to take a closer look at this organization and the work that it's doing to help at-risk youth in the classroom and beyond. Joining me now is Latisa Allen. She is the interim Chief Programs Officers with Communities and Schools of North Carolina, and Robert Deroe, Regional Director of External Affairs with AT&T. Thank you both so much for being with us.
You're welcome, and thanks for having us.
Now, Communities in Schools is a part of a national organization.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the program and how it works.
So Communities and Schools of North Carolina is a part of a larger organization, and so we are in North Carolina, and we are in over 300 schools in North Carolina, and we really focus on a model that is proven. It's evidence-based and research-based, and we focus on attendance, behavior, coursework, and the P is parental engagement. And so that's the ABC plus P. And so we partner with schools, and it's really a partnership through schools where we go in and we actually have student support specialists who are trained to work with students and build relationships and work with them to remove any barriers that they may have to success. And so based on a needs assessment that we do for all the students that are case managed, we identify what those needs are. And according to those needs that we find out, we develop a plan that has goals and objectives. It also has the supports that we're going to provide. And so we connect them also with community resources and also just work with the school and the students and families in order to ensure success for those students.
How do you identify the schools in which you work?
So there are several ways in which schools are identified. So one of the ways that we've identified schools that we work, it's the interest of the school and the need. And so definitely in areas where we have the most need and the most hard to reach students, it really guides where we work. And so we've done a lot of work. Originally, our state office started as a training and technical support system for our affiliates around North Carolina. And so recently we decided to diversify our portfolio and engaged in really providing those direct services to students. So now we're in over 40 schools in the state that are directly supervised from the state office, in addition to other programs that we have decided to add to diversify our portfolio. So those schools are really identified in more rural communities that we knew had less resources and really students where there was the greatest need.
And Robert, AT&T has partnered with Communities and Schools of North Carolina. Tell us about the partnership.
Yes, we have. AT&T has been in operation in North Carolina for 139 years, and we feel like it's very important not only invest in our network, but to also invest in our local communities. One of our big initiatives is education, and when we're looking for partners for education in North Carolina, CIS came to the top of the list.
Okay. And so with that partnership, how are you able to help more students?
So we have expanded into 6 additional counties in the Northeast to provide those services. And so with that, we're providing services to thousands more students. And so again, with that same model in 6 more schools, 6 more counties, we were able to hire student support specialists to go in and identify what those needs are with the school. And so again, that's very important that we partner with the schools to identify what the students' needs are. One of those examples that we had a student recently who was really missing school. So attendance was definitely an issue. There were also behavioral issues. And so our student support specialist was contacted regarding the student to assess the student to be on our caseload. With Communities and Schools being involved with that particular student, the student now this past semester has no behavior referrals, also has improved grades to B's and C's, which before the grades were F's and D's. And so now that student can see a brighter future. And so before, that way wasn't very clear. And so many of the students we work with will be first-generational college students. So we're able to guide those students in that direction and really pull out what's already in them, but we help them to realize their potential. We build relationships with them. We work with the community to also get community resources. If it's attendance issues that they have, we find out the why. Yes, you do have attendance issues, but why are you not attending school? Or if there are behavior referrals or suspensions, why is it that you're getting into trouble in school? And once we identify those barriers and able to help remove those barriers, then our students can have success. And so we're very happy that Communities in Schools has been a bridge for so many students in North Carolina.
Absolutely. And Robert, that's why it's so important for companies, businesses to make that community outreach effort as well.
Absolutely. We see them as the frontline people. We see these students as our next employees or our next customers at least. And without Communities in Schools, who knows where these children would be right now.
Absolutely. And you see some of the statistics there, just talking about the number of students that you reach and the impact that you're making. Talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, so we have impacts in different areas in terms of our numbers. And so although we serve over 150,000 students in North Carolina, we also have 16,000 students that we case manage. And that means that they are receiving those intense services. So it may be high intensity or low intensity students, which means that either we're using evidence-based practices to see those students on a weekly basis. We could do that through pulling them out of class or either pushing into class. Additionally, we may have students that are lower intensity, so we don't have to be engaged with those students as much as the high intensity students. And so it's really based on the individual student and what they need. So those students may receive services from us on a monthly basis or more. So we may have individual sessions with those students. There may be group sessions with those students. Some of the services that we provide in working with the community may be going to colleges in the area, so that some students have never been outside of their home areas. And so we take them and expose them to college, and so now they can see that maybe this is possible for me as well. We engage them in other activities in the community, such as STEM activities, and so which is the science, technology, engineering, and math activities, and so those students get a chance to participate in those. And then we also have activities which are Tier 1 supports that can reach the entire school, and we also engage our parents and bring our parents in, because we know that it's very critical that we reach the whole child. And the whole child means that we engage the family. And so oftentimes we involve those parents or those guardians that may have been disconnected from the school. But because we can build those relationships, and also sometimes have to do home visits, but we're able to get those parents to the school and to start being engaged in their child's education.
A very comprehensive program providing a lot of services. We're going to take a break and we'll talk more in just a minute.
Okay.
We're back with more on Communities in Schools after these messages. Communities in Schools of North Carolina is an organization working to help at-risk students succeed in the classroom and beyond. With us again is Latisa Allen. She is the interim chief programs officer with Communities in Schools of North Carolina, and Robert DeRoe. He's the regional director of external affairs with AT&T. Now, before the break, you were talking about many of the services that you provide to students across the state of North Carolina. What are some of the other services that you offer?
So we have been very fortunate to, again, diversify our portfolio. And so one of those programs is Jobs for North Carolina's Graduates. We are one of the programs under a larger organization, which is Jobs for America's Graduates. And we were able to implement that program this year in 7 different counties in North Carolina. And so with that particular program, we're really targeting the same type population of students that Communities in Schools work with. And it is those students who have some of those very barriers that may have been preventing them to get to the success that they really need to achieve. And so that particular program, we have specialists in 7 different schools, and they really focus on preparing students for the workforce. And if it's not going directly into the workforce, is giving them those skills to start making those decisions. And what that entails is they still may go to college, but being able to really make those decisions about what career path that they want to take. And so our specialists kind of serve in 2 capacities. One is that they are teachers, so they actually teach the students in classes, and they're giving them those skills that they need in order to start preparing for the workforce. And then they're also case managing those students, so they're working with them, really identifying the areas that they need the most help, connecting them to employers in the community. We're also working with workforce boards across those 7 different counties. And so they also have programs that we're able to connect our students with. And again, it's giving those students those opportunity and providing those paths for them to be successful. So again, JAG is a national organization, and we are the 35th state to implement JAG. And so through Communities in Schools, we were able to bring in jobs for North Carolina's graduates. And so that's our affiliate of the JAG national organization. And so we're really excited about this programming. It's our first year. We're already seeing quick successes. And additionally, our students will have the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. for a national summit. We're having our own leadership summit here in Raleigh, North Carolina, April 30th on the campus of North Carolina State University. And so we're really excited about that as well. So we will be bringing delegates in from all of our 7 locations of jobs for North Carolina's graduates across the state. In addition to that, we've also implemented AVID programming in Rocky Mount. And with that, we have 6 middle schools. AVID really focuses on that student who will be that first-generation college student. And so it's giving those students those skills, those strategies that they need in order to be successful, in order to really attain what they need to in their classes, the main courses that they're in. And so we're able to also partner and bring in tutors for those students so that they're able to achieve and learn about taking the ACT and the SAT and really just putting them on that path of success to be ready for college and beyond. And in addition to that, we also have Reentry to Resilience, and this program focuses on youth who are currently in youth development centers. And so they have been committed. And we really serve as an organization to work with those students to transition them successfully back into the community. So we begin working with them, and we begin with the end in mind. So we start working with them upon their commitment to these youth development centers. And so we work with them that entire time and develop plans on what will happen with the student when they transition. And research tells us that once students leave the youth development center, if they don't get in trouble within that first year, it lessens the likelihood of recidivism. And so we also follow those students for an entire year after they get out of the youth development center. And so we provide opportunities. And just recently we had a student who was committed for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, of course, coming out of a youth development center, it's like starting over from ground zero. And so the parents were really focused on what does my child need now to be successful. And so we work with that family and we work with that youth to transition them back into the community. The student is currently now enrolled in a community college, also pursuing career interests. And so we're really excited for that student, that they're on a good path. And it's really because we have worked in conjunction with also community organizations to just make sure that that student is successful when they come out.
And Robert, all that work is so crucial to our next workforce.
Absolutely, it is. AT&T has a corporate initiative for our employees for engagement called Aspire, and through that Aspire program, our North Carolina employees in 2016 volunteered over 59,000 hours to mentor children across the state. But even with that effort, we know that it still more needs to be done. And so it's crucial to partner with organizations like Communities in Schools to get those children up to grade level and to graduation and beyond, to get them to be able to find jobs and to keep the jobs after they find them.
Absolutely. How can people find out more information about Communities in Schools?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. We have a website. It's www.cisnc.org. And there are several ways that people can find out information and also get involved. And so if they want to find out that information, again, our website is the perfect way to do that. And that will lead you to really look at the different ways to get involved, whether it's by donating, advocating, or participating.
Lots of ways to get connected. We're going to take another break and we'll talk more in just a minute. Don't go away. Tar Heel Talk will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. Studies show that 97% of communities and school students are promoted to the next grade. And today we've been taking a closer look at the organization and the work that it's doing to help our students in the classroom and beyond. With us again is Latisa Allen, Interim Chief Programs Officer with Communities in Schools of North Carolina, and Robert Durow, Regional Director of External Affairs with AT&T. You've been talking a lot about just the wonderful work that Communities in Schools has been doing, and I understand that AT&T has partnered with the organization to help make a difference in the lives of more children in our state.
Yes, a few weeks ago we partnered with Communities in Schools of North Carolina and Cramden Institute out of Durham to donate 50 refurbished computers to 50 second graders in Rocky Mount. They were distributed on a needs basis, and those children were very excited to get those computers.
And that's so important. We know that there is this digital divide, and when we talk about the achievement gap between some of our rural communities and some of our inner city areas, it's certainly important to have access to that technology.
Yes, it definitely is. And what was really rewarding was to see the looks on the students' faces. And so Secretary Boyette partnered with AT&T as well as the Nash Rocky Mount School District, in addition to that with Cramden Institute to provide the 50 computers to the students. And the event was held and the parents also were there. And so they held a tutorial session with the students to really show them how to operate the computers. They already had programs, educational programs that were on the computer for the students. So they really showed them how to access those programs, and just the excitement on those students' faces was very rewarding. And oftentimes these students don't get an opportunity to have access to technology prior to coming to school. So they already begin school a little behind their peers who have access to this. So as you spoke about the digital divide, it's very important that as schools and community organizations that we're involved to make sure that students are able to have access to those very critical components of learning that they may not have at home. And so the students actually had an opportunity to take their devices home with them the same day. And
Exciting.
So after AT&T and Cramden Institute and Secretary Boyette, many of the school district officials were there. We have representations from the mayor's office as well as the sheriff's office. And just all of these individuals from the community came together and was able to really provide to our students who were most in need. And so our student support specialist in Rocky Mount at that particular school was very instrumental in helping to identify those students who really had the need and to coordinate the event. So it was very rewarding and really just showed us why we do what we do every day for our students.
Right. And I can imagine from a business standpoint, it was rewarding as well to be able to give back.
Absolutely, and even for something that you might take for granted on an everyday basis is a computer in your home. Just to see one of those children, in fact, we overheard on walking out, looking up at her dad, and she said, "Is this a dream?"
Oh.
You know, it really touches your heart. It becomes more personal at that point than a business decision.
Absolutely. And that's really what, working together and collaborating, many different organizations collaborating is really all about, making a difference in the lives of children.
Definitely, and we're definitely thankful to be able to partner with such great organizations as AT&T to make some of those really dreams come true for our students.
Let's talk a little bit about the reach of communities and schools. And I know that you said you're working with about 300 schools in the state right now.
Yes.
What kind of coverage are you looking at there? Are you mostly working on rural areas, or are you kind of spread out throughout the state?
So we are spread out, but again, with our connection and our partnership with AT&T, that was one of our focuses, to really be able to go into more rural areas where those resources are scarce and where they really need more assistance with reaching the students. And so we're able to partner with those schools and provide that additional resource to those students who are hardest to reach. So although the districts as a whole may have a real need, within those districts there are also students that are just very hard to reach. They're our most vulnerable students in the state, and so those are the students that we really target, because those are the students who need us the most, and we know that we can provide those really supports that they need and connect them to the community and be that relationship builder with that student, so that they have somebody that they can connect with on a different level. And so we know that in the classroom that teachers work extremely hard, school districts work extremely hard, so we're very happy that we're able to partner and offer something in addition to what's already going on in the schools and making an impact. Overall, individually we make an impact, we make an impact in the school, and in some of our areas we're making an impact in the district.
Talk about how our viewers might be able to get involved in their own communities and help with working with students.
So there are several ways. I mentioned earlier, one way is to donate. And so we definitely welcome the resources to be able to reach more students, because we know that there are many students still that need to be reached, and that communities and schools could definitely help. And so on our website, which is www.cisnc.org, you can also donate. Another way is to advocate. It's really important that our students have advocates in the community, and so there are many different ways: speaking to legislators, speaking to different community organizations, business partners, local businesses in your area, to be able to really advocate for what's needed for our students. And then additionally, you can participate, which means that you can volunteer. So any of our communities and school locations, we definitely welcome volunteers to come in and help our students. It does take a village, and we welcome that village.
Now, in terms of volunteering, what types of work would volunteers be able to do?
So volunteers could come in and assist with tutoring. They could also just serve as a mentor. We have mentor programs. So some of our students just need someone else that they can look up to, someone else that they can talk to, someone else that they can relate to. So having a mentor, we have different activities that we have, and so having volunteers to really help us with some of those activities that we're engaged in throughout the communities. And so whatever your skill is that you have that really can help students, we welcome that, because we definitely know that there's enough work to go around, and there are enough students who are in need. And so we definitely are communities in schools, so we want the community to help us make the impact with our students.
Absolutely. We have about a minute left, Robert. I'm going to give you the last word. What would you say to other companies to get them to support organizations like communities and schools?
I would say that AT&T is built a company by making connections around the world. But it's the local connections like communities and schools has that really make the difference. And to make a difference in the life of one child or in a community, you really need to get involved, and they can't do it without our support. So AT&T is very proud to help communities and schools and other organizations like them to succeed in making those local connections that really make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, we're certainly glad that you all are reaching out and helping our students across the state, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.